Monday, June 15th. Well, the world seems to be falling apart. We have all these crises arising for us. We've got the corona crisis, we've got the climate crisis, we've got authoritarian governments, we have um, police that overstep their bounds and become the agents of systemic racism. And oh, what else do we need? We got plenty of crises coming up. And it looks pretty bad for us as humanity unless we actually get our act together here. There's a phrase that some of you are familiar with about difficult times being an AFGO, an AFGO, another effing growth opportunity. Well, we as humanity are faced with this growth opportunity. It requires us, if we're going to actually make it through all of these crises, we have to be able to see what's arising in such a way that we can actually meaningfully address it. And the problem is that those who are in charge don't see reality. In fact, actively work to suppress reality, but don't see reality in such a way that they have the data that allows them to actually figure out how to solve it. One of my favorite quotes from Albert Einstein is that you cannot solve a problem with the level of thinking that causes the problem. The problems that we are facing are almost entirely human-made, and thus, as humans, we can fix them. But they arise because we are not accurately seeing the nature of reality. We are not approaching the real world with wisdom. Turns out wisdom is not just being really smart. And as a matter of fact, it's not about having all the right data. Since as long as there have been humans on the planet, we have had people who were wise in what we call primitive tribes. Those were the shamans. And when we look at the history of the development of humanity and tribal religion and tribal structure, we cannot find, either in the extant remnants of tribes still present on the earth or in archaeological information, we cannot find a tribal structure that didn't have a shaman or somebody or some group of people who functioned as a shaman. They were not just healers. Certainly they were physically about healing personal illness, but more than that, they were about seeing the reality of the world in such a way that the tribe actually got some guidance about how to behave, how do we act. They were not chiefs. These were not people who told other people what to do. People would consult them and for their wisdom, sort of as like an oracle, like the oracle in The Matrix. I recently saw The Matrix again, and it's amazing how different it appears after, what, over 20 years now. In any case, we need to have the capacity, like Neo, to see reality as it's arising and thus respond to it in a way that's actually healthy and productive. But we're not going to find a savior. We're not going to find a Neo. We're not going to find somebody who comes in. We've had saviors. The only person who can save the world now is you and me and all of us by becoming wise. One of my teachers, Cynthia Bourgeot, talks about wisdom as being like putting on a new operating system. It's like installing a new operating system on your computer. The computer is fundamentally at the core a binary machine. It's all ones and zeros. It's ons and offs. But the way that you process that information, the capacity to be able to see the complexity of what really is, allows us to observe what's happening to us, around us, and most importantly, within us, in a way that recognizes that these are not competing forces. These are all a part of one system. Everything, the mystical frame, everything is a part of everything. We are all a part of the same unitary being. And we imagine ourselves, we see ourselves as separate. Now, we all know that, in fact, everything's connected to everything. We know we have really good scientific evidence of that. The knowledge of that doesn't actually allow us to show up in our lives in such a way that we act as though that were true. That's what we have to be able to do. We have to come to be able to see the unitary nature of all things. So what do I intend to do over this next week is to each day kind of bring out another facet of this, to talk about how it is that we can actually place ourselves in a position to experience the accident of enlightenment, so that we actually do bring more and more wisdom into our lives. Hope you have a great day. Let's be safe out there.